Hello and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today I have a great treat in store for me, I think, because last week, I want to say Wednesday last week, I did a puzzle by Michael Lefkowitz, sometimes known as Juggler in the Sudoku world, which was called, what was it called? Trace something. Trace elements, I want to say. I've got it here. Trace amounts. And you can see it's got these sort of ghost cages. And it was a beautiful 1-star rated puzzle. Well, the reason that puzzle came onto our radar is we'd had lots of recommendations to try this puzzle on the screen, which is a far more difficult version, apparently. It's called Ghost Cages. It has a very similar rule set, but with a slight rinky-dink in it, which is meaningful, I think. But you can see we've got the sort of bones of cages only that we can see. And we're going to have to work out where the cages live. And apparently this is an absolutely beautiful puzzle. I expect nothing less nowadays from Michael, who has been innovating in the world of Sudoku for the last year or two in the most extraordinary ways. I mean, this again, other than that earlier puzzle, which was also by him, this is another completely innovative idea. And yeah, I really am looking forward to having a go at this. One of the emails we had recommending it was just absolutely praising it to the nines. So anyway, this is what we're going to have a go at. Do I have any news? I've got one birthday to do, but there were other things I was meant to mention as well. New Sudoku hunt coming up on the 1st of September, so look out for that. That should be a lot of fun. I'll have more details on that tomorrow. We've got our new app out, very approachable Sudoku. Check that out. I'll try and remember to put a link on the screen, and I'll do the birthday. Benji, you've turned 21 today, and I know this because your girlfriend Esme wrote to us, and Esme revealed in her email that she's just solved her first Sudoku puzzle very recently. So Benji, I'm delighted that you're trying to get Esme into Sudoku too. I hope you have an absolutely great 21st birthday today, and I hope that you also manage to find some chocolate cake. And that's all the news. So why don't we have a look at the rules of Ghost Cages and see what Michael has in store for us. The rules are as follows. We've got normal Sudoku rules apply, so we have to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. The dashed lines are part of non-overlapping rectangular cages hidden in the grid. Ah, rectangular cages. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Digits in a cage do not repeat and sum to the number represented by one or more cells in its upper left corner, read from left to right. Now, there's then an example. It says, if a cage summed to 27, how could we have it? Let's do this one. So if this cage summed to 27, its upper leftmost cell would be a 2 with a 7 to its right. Yeah, I sort of understand that. So let's just highlight those squares and say that this was a rectangular cage that summed to 27. What it's saying is in the upper left corner you put 2 and 7 like that. So this puzzle doesn't have any of the normal tiny clues in the top left corner. We actually have to write the cage totals in ourselves, which is a very strange innovation, but I really like it. Anyway, do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play Let's Get Cracking. Now, I say let's get cracking, but do we... I'm just wondering if we know all of these cages are definitely different. I mean, if they're all rectangular, I think it's very clear that that's different from that. At least that must be true. And then I don't see how that can be part of the green one and create that. I mean, that most certainly is not rectangular in any manner or means, is it? And the same is going to be true there. And then this cage, yeah, I mean, to be rectangular, given it's got a left-hand border in it, it's either going to be that, or... Oh, I see. Hang on. you could have a one, well, okay, I was going to say you could have a one cell cage, and that's true, except none of these cages are one cell cages. Because imagine this was a one cell cage, then it should have an 8 as its cage total, and it would have an 8 as its cage total. But any other cage, how does it work then? So if you put a 1 here, then this is going to be a units digit. So it's it counts for itself in the cage. So I'm not being very articulate. I'm just trying to understand this. So what I'm imagining is let's imagine there's a cage here that looks something like that. Oh, that's impossible. That doesn't matter. Then what I'm saying is that this digit, being a 7, is counted because the cage total is 17. That 7 takes care of all the units, if you like. So actually, the remaining cells would have to add up to 10, which is obviously not possible with it. So we'd have to delete some of this. So it'd be something like this, and then these two squares would add up to 9. Is I think how it would have to work. But what would happen if this was bigger? If this was a 2, then again, this is just counting its units total. So whatever else is in the cage is adding up to 18. Well, 18 once you deduct the 2 from it. And if you had a 30 cage, it would be 27 for the remainder of the cage that wasn't the units digit. And if it was a 4, I don't know if we can have any. We certainly can, in theory, have a 40 cage. But that's going to be a very big cage, obviously, because of a secret that I share with only very special people. But I won't share the secret unless necessary. But if you had a 40 cage, then the remaining digits that weren't the units digit would have to sum up to 36, i.e. 40, which is the rest of the cage, minus the 4 that was in the tens digit position. Oh, this is very weird. That's very weird indeed. But is it helpful? You see, what I'm wondering is it legitimate for me to write 1, 2, 3, and 4 into column 7? That would be quite an interesting idea, because you can, yeah. I mean, let's deal with the secret as to why that's occurring to me. So if you add up all of the Sudoku digits, you get 45. That's the secret of Sudoku. And because you can't repeat digits in a Sudoku cage, it's not possible for there to be a 55 cage or something here, or a 56 cage. The maximum tens digit could be a 4. And that makes me wonder whether we could do that. But for that to be true, what we have to convince, I think it must be true. Because if cages are rectangular, there's no way that cage, that cage can't be in the same rectangle as this cage. There wouldn't need to be the grid furniture at the top of these two cells. The same is true here, isn't it? Same is true here. So the question is, could this be... No, it can't. The basic question is, can any of these cages... Is it possible that if they're rectangular, that their top left-hand cells, if you like, are not these two positions? And it's not possible. I mean, if you could have the cage looking like that, of course, yeah, these would be the top leftmost cells, or the leftmost cells in the top row of the cage. But this is a rectangular cage, so we can't have that. So I think it is legitimate. Let's keep going with my colours. I'm doing quite well with the colours, actually, in terms of... I'm going to maybe have to reuse yellow there. I think because what Michael's done is to specify the rectangular nature of cages. All of these are effectively their cage totals, aren't they? So in all of the tens digits positions, we can write 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I bet not, well, that one can't be 4, because that can't be a 40 cage. Its maximum number of cells is 4, given it's got to be rectangular. So it can't be 3 here either. This is 1 or 2. Because I can't make these squares add up to 30 something. Oh, I see. Yes, okay. So of the possible cells in column 7, which is the 40 cage? Well, a 40 cage, if we think about the constituents of Sudoku cages, that could be 6 cells. That could be, well, no, that's going to be the 40 cage. That could be 6 cells. That could be 6 cells maximum. Now, 6 cells, 6 different Sudoku numbers. What's the highest they can add up to? And I think it's 39. Because if we add 9 plus 8 plus 7 plus 6 plus 5 plus 4, we only get 39. That's not 40. There's a knowledge bomb for you. So I think the first digit we're meant to get is that being a 4. And now we know that this is at least... Well, hang on, does this... this might have to be a 45 cage. Because... Yeah, it does. Because I can't construct a 2x3 or a 3x2 rectangle that could reach a 40 total. That's what we've just discovered. 6 digits is not enough. So we must extend the rectangle into being a square, and therefore it's got 9 different digits in it, and therefore by the secret we can write 45 in. That is beautiful, isn't it? What a beautiful idea. Now, can't repeat 9 in this cage, so there's a 9 in one of those 2 squares by Sudoku. Where do we look now? I have not got a clue. That's so strange that you can fill this in, feel it's an absolute epiphany, and then not know what to do. Is it something to do with... Golly, I haven't got a clue. I have not got a clue. Oh dear, dear, dear. I'm so sorry. Right, okay. This one is under more pressure, isn't it? Does this have to be a 1? I'm going to claim it might have to be a 1. This might be wrong, but if that was a 2, didn't we work out when we were thinking about it that, well, if I maximise the size of this cage, it would take those squares, wouldn't it? But I think these 2 squares would have to add up to 18, which is clearly impossible. I think that's right. Because this, again, this would be the units digit, so it takes care of itself. So say this was 27, the 7 would take care of itself, which means the other 3 digits have to sum to 20, but this is a 2. So these are 18, and there's no way to make a domino in Sudoku sum to 18. So I think what we're learning is that this is a 1, which means this is not a 1. So that's at least a 20. Okay, yes, and that's quite helpful, isn't it? Does that? I think that means we have to do this shape for this one, because if this, it clearly must come down here. That's certainly true. In fact, maybe they all have to do that. None of them can be a domino, can? Ah, I see. Right, here is another point that I hadn't appreciated until now, until I actually thought about it. But it's obvious once you think about it. Yeah. Could any of these cages be limited in size to just being a domino? No, of course not. Because imagine this was just a domino and this was a 1. This is the only conceivable way this could possibly work, but it won't work. Because this again is the tens digit. Sorry, this is the units digit, so let's make it 7 again. I mean, even if we make it low, it might be clearer. Obviously, this is saying that the number is 12. That's dealing with the 2 part of the number. So the 1 is saying that the rest of the cage adds up to 10. Well, that's only 1 of the 10. So there's no way that any of these cages are simply dominoes. But, see, I was thinking, does that mean I have to come down here? But maybe I don't. Certainly once we get to 20, I have to drop down here, because if we're only going horizontally, this square would have to be an 18. So we're doing, well, yes, I think this house also has to take these. That's the point, isn't it? Because if this cage was only 4 cells large, and this was even a 2, that takes care of the units digit. Again, these have to add up to 18. That's not enough. So we do make that orange. This is a cage. Now, let me think. I'm not sure. So do we think, is it more likely this is a 2 or a 3? Oh, that's not a 1 now. So this cage needs to grow, definitely. In fact, all of these cages need to grow, because they can't just be dominoes. Now, the problem with this cage is it could grow there, couldn't it, and just be a 3-cell sequence. And if it's just a 3-cell sequence, this would be a 10 number. This would be the units digit. That doesn't work. Yeah, so I'm going to claim that this cage does extend to the bottom row. And the reason I think that's forced is that if we just take this square as the extension of the red cage, and say it doesn't go down into row 9 at all, this number clearly has to be a 10s digit number. The units digit, whatever it is, takes care of itself. And what's this digit? It has to be a 9. Because these 2 cells would have to add up to 10 between them. And that won't work. So actually, this definitely drops down, whatever this number is. Even if it's a 10, it drops down. If it's a 10, oh, I see, no, that's fine. Okay. Alright, so that's not done it, has it? But okay, but this one has to grow. Because we've just worked out you can't have a domino. So this has to go at least to here. And now this one has to grow. So it has to go at least to here. And now this one can't just be a domino. So it grows at least to here. Look at this. This is absolutely gobsmackingly clever. And now this must be the 1. It can't be a 2 and be big enough. So that's 1. This isn't 1. Now does that have to be a 9 then by this logic? I think it does, because again, this is the total size of this rectangular cage, which means those 2 digits must sum up to 10. So that's a 9, and the units digit is totally flexible. That's a 9 by Sudoku. Now this digit is open-ended. This digit is clearly not a 4, is it? I don't think it can be a... oh, maybe it could be a 3. No, it can't be a 3. Because if this was a 3, again, the units digit takes care of itself. Let's extend it as far as we can. Those 3 digits would add up to 27, and they can't. 3 different Sudoku digits. The maximum they can add up to as Maverick flies past is 24. So that is not 3. This is 1 or 2. It's probably 1. But if it's 2 and this extends, maybe that's fine as well. Or maybe this has to extend a bit further, actually. Because if this was a 1, and this was only this size, this would be a 9, and it would clash. So I think this does extend. If it's 2 here, then it extends at least to here, because these can't add up to 18. Okay, I'm not sure how to deal with that. 9 is in one of those squares by Sudoku. This is at least a 20-something number. Ignore the units digit. If this was only this size, these would add up to 18, and they can't. So this cage fully sort of completes box 9. I don't know what that means. Those two digits are the same as those two digits because they can't repeat within the green cage. Which might be interesting. This digit we don't know about, do we? So we don't... If this was a 30 number, these 4 digits would add up to 27. But if this is a 20 number, these 4 digits add up to 18. That feels quite difficult. Yeah, if this is a 2 and these have to add up to 9, they'd have to be 1, 3, 5. Oh, which... Does that work or not? Not sure. I'm not sure whether it works or not. It might do. That would be a 5, and that would be a 1, 3 pair, and that would be a 2 or a 4. Is that a problem? Then this would be... Oh, hang on. If that's a 30-something number, that doesn't work, does it? Or does it? Can I make those 4 digits add up to... What would they have to add up to? 27 without using... No. Right. Okay, I know the order. Okay, so the point here is that if this is a 3, these 4 digits now add up to 27 to provide the 30 that those must add up to, because this is just the units digit, whatever that happens to be. Now 27 in 4 different digits, if it didn't have a 9 in it, the maximum those digits could be would be 8, 7, 6 and 5, which only adds up to 26. That's not enough. So this is 2, this is 3. These digits now, see, this is going to take all the pressure off, but maybe the pressure's down here. These digits add up to 18. Oh, well, maybe not then. Sorry. Those digits add up to 20. By the secret, 29. These digits add up to 16. And those 2 digits are the same as those 2 digits. There's all sorts of little rinky-dinks going on in the grid here. Okay, so what do we know about this orange cage now then? Whatever this digit is, these digits add up to 27. So these 3 digits add up to 18 without using 9. Do they have to have 8 in? That would be interesting, because then that would have to be an 8. Well, okay, if they don't, this is interesting, if they don't have, no jokes about me at parties. I'm already well aware that I'm a liability, a social hand grenade when it comes to parties. But if these 3 digits add up to 18, and they do, imagine there was no 8 in them. Well, then the only way of doing it, given that 8 and the 9 are not available, was 5, 6, 7, and that would be a 5. And this would be a 6, 7 pair. And that, oh no, that does work. Oh, that's so close to breaking. Because if this was a 6, 7 pair, remember I just worked out these 3 digits added up to 16. This would be a 3. But the other way it would work is that this would be an 8, because we would have an 8 in our 18 total. So these would add up to 10. But they couldn't be 1, 9 or 2, 8 or 3, 7. They would be... that doesn't work. Right. So the point here is that 8 is impossible. There is no 8 in these 3 cells, which have to add up to 18. Because if there was, this domino here would add up to 10, but it couldn't be 1, 9, it couldn't be 2, 8, it couldn't be 3, 7, there would be a second 3 in the cage, and it couldn't be 4, 6, because there's already a 4 in the box. So this is not 8. This is 5, 6, 7. This is 5. This is 6, 7, which means these are 6, 7 by Sudoku. Now, we worked out those 3 squares added up to 16. Now, I'm just going to check that. I think, no, that's very clear, isn't it? Because this U pentomino does add up to 20. 20 plus 9 is 29, so those do add up to 16 by the secret to make 45 overall. So this is a 3. Don't know what that's doing. That's putting 6 in one of these 3 squares. What a puzzle though, hey? It's already absolutely brilliant. 5 in the bottom row is in one of those squares. And this digit has no pressure on it at all. None of the units digits. Although, we do know this is 23, but do we care? Well, it puts a 3 in one of those squares, I suppose. Oh, dearie me. It's nearly difficult. Oh, this can't be a 4. Neither of these can be a 4, because they're only going to be 2 by 3 rectangles at best, or 3 by 2 rectangles. 6 cells is not enough to make a 40 number. We worked that out already. So, what on earth does that mean, if anything? Where does this blue cage go? If that's a 2, it does go to here. These add up to 18. 18, 28. 28 and 8 is 36. These 2 squares would add up to 7. And they couldn't be 1. They could be 2, 7, maybe. That's the only way that could work, if that is 2, 7. As a pair. That almost looks likely, doesn't it? What about if this is a 1? If this is a 1, whatever this digit is, these squares add up to 9. Okay, so we couldn't extend that to here. That wouldn't work, because 3 digits adding to 9 would be impossible, given 1 and 3 are not available. So the minimum you could have is 2, 4, 6 into the squares. So if this is 1, this domino adds up to 9. And that would be 2, 7. And that would be in a very specific order. 2 here, 7 here. And that might be fine. Golly gosh. Okay, so what is it I'm meant to look at next? I haven't got a clue. I have not got a clue. If that's 5, hang on, why didn't I write the 5 in there? I could have done that. So what are those squares? 1, 4, 1, 4, 8 into these positions. So this column needs 6, 7. That's a naked single. That's an 8. It can't be 6 or 7 because it's already got 6 and 7 appearing in its cage with it. So that's 8. This is 6 or 7. I can't remember if that ruled out any of the options, but these squares are now, I want to say they're 1, 2 and 3 by Sudoku, and that's definitely not a 3. Now does that help me? No. Well, no. No, I don't think it does. Oh dear, dear, oh dear. Okay. So what is it I'm meant to do here? Is it... I worked out this could be a domino, didn't I? I think it had to be 7 and 2 if this was 1. And if this is 2, these 3 digits are then going to add up to 18. Which probably means we're going to need an 8 in there. Yeah, we are. We're going to need an 8 and then 2 digits that have to be 4 and 6. So that looks like that works as well. Okay, sorry, I'm not seeing how to do this, am I? I'm doing very badly. Okay, well maybe we'll try this one instead then. This can't be a 3-cell cage, can it? Because if it was a 3-cell cage, again, these 2 digits would add up to 10, and this would be a 9. So that cage extends. Okay, so this is maybe where we were meant to look then, because this domino now has to add up to 9. It's not 1, 8, 3, 6 or 4, 5. So that, there we go. That's 2, 7. So this is a 1, which means this is not a 1. Now we can't extend this because these 3 digits can't add up to 9. So it's just this domino adds up to 9, and it can't be 6, 3. So that's 7, 2, and we are cooking with gas. This is a 1. Okay, I get a 2, 3 pair here. This is not a 1. This is the extent of this cage. What are those digits then? They're 4, 6 and 8. But can we do better than that? Surely we can. Oh, come on, Simon. Oh, that 7 is doing some Sudoku-y work. Yes, yes, here we go. 4, 8, 1, oh. 6 can't repeat in orange. So now 6 has to go at the top of the grid. That's lovely, the way that 6 saw both of those options. So this digit we don't know. Now, come on, Simon. What does that... Oh, 6. Where is 6 in this box? I don't know the answer, but it's definitely in one of those 2 cells, which means 6 is down at the bottom of the grid. Units digits are so misleading because they just aren't, they are hopeless. So we don't, I don't know what to do again. I've got a 2, 3 pair there. So the remaining digits in this row are 1, 4, 5, 8. I don't think that's even, well, maybe that one. That's 1, 4 or 5. Ah, okay, but both of these are now at least 20 numbers, and we've already worked out that 20 numbers we can't deal with 20 numbers by having an extra domino, because if that's a 2, these would have to add up to 18, so we can extend these cages downwards, both of them. One of them is a 30 number, which is going to take up a lot of high digits. So... well, one thing we could do, you know, is I could work out the value of those squares, because I know one of these is a 2 and one of them's a 3. So the 2, let's say this was the 2 one, those would add up to 18. If this was the 3 one, these would add up to 27. 18 and 27 is 45. 45 and 23 means these squares add up to 22, because 2 complete rows of a Sudoku sum to 90, don't they? And once I've got 45 for those squares, I need another 45. And if I've got 23 here, which is what this is telling me, I must get 22 there. Now, 22 is not a propitious total. 22 in 4 digits, do we know? No, maybe we don't know. This row needs all low digits. Okay, I'm going to good lift it. One doesn't go there. One doesn't go here. Oh, Bobbins, that was a bad decision, wasn't it? Sorry. Okay. Can that be 8? I think it can be anything. This 2, 7. Oh, maybe let's look at row 3. It's 4, 6. It's 4, 6, and 8 again, isn't it? This is 4 or 6. Golly. What about this cage? What do we know about this cage? So this cage could be another 45 cage, maybe. How likely is that? It's not enormously unlikely, I don't think. I can't see why that doesn't work, which means it probably is that. Okay, so what on earth am I meant to look at now? It's quite difficult to know, actually, how to think about this. I don't really... There's no problem, is there, with 2 and 3? Sorry, I realise I'm just corpsing here. I'm just trying to understand this. Right, okay, I've got something. I know which way round these go, I think. I mean, it's actually a beautiful deduction, but it's not, that wasn't easy to see at all. If this is a 2, it doesn't work. Because then I need those 4 digits to add up to 27, don't I? But one of them is going to be a 2. Because this 2 here has to go, it can't repeat in yellow, so it's going to go into that foursome. And once it goes in there, the other 3 digits would have to add up to 25, and you can't make 3 different Sudoku digits add up to 25 if you can't repeat any of them. 9, 8, 7 again being the max is 24, so this is 3, this is 2, that's good. Right, now I'm getting somewhere again. I've got 2 in one of those squares by Sudoku, matching up. So 2 is in one of these squares in row 4. Now 2, well, we know 2 can't go in this cell for exactly the same reason that 2 couldn't go in those squares if this was a 3. So 2 is in one of those 2 positions in box 7. Now what has that done? That's plonked a 7 up at the top of the grid. These squares now add up to 18, and one of them is a 6 apparently. So perhaps that matters. Well, okay, what we could do, I don't know if this is worth doing, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to label up all of these digits and think about them. So, I do know, the other thing I know is that there's a 3 down here, and that's quite interesting. So by Sudoku in this in box 8, there must be a 3. So my 20-something number is these adding up to 18. 2 of them are 6 and 3. So they add up to 9. I've got a 2-7 pair ruled out for the other 2, which are going to also have to add up to 9. So the 2 digits down here are either 1 and 8, which would be quite useful, or 4 and 5, which would be even more useful. Well, okay, here's a totally different point. That square there is not a 1. Because if this is a 1, those 6 digits sum to 21, and by the secret, these 3 digits would then sum up to 24 in order to make the box overall add up to 45, and they cannot be a 7, 8, 9 triple. So that is not a 1. So if this is 24, these have to add up to 21, which they can only just do that if that's a 5, and that would have to be a 7, 9 pair. Okay. How does this work then? If that's 25, these add up to 20. Which again would necessitate this being 4, or if that's a 5, this would be a 4. 25, 20, this, hang on. So if this is 4, these add up to 21, and that would have to be 5, 7, 9 because of the 8 here. So if this is 4, this is 5. If this is 5, these add up to 20, but then this would be 4, so that would, these would be a 4, 5 pair again. If this is 28, these add up to 17 to make the box add up to 45. Okay, and that might be less constrained. Okay. Oh, 8 nearly has to be down here, but we don't, but 8 could be there. Oh, that's so annoying. See, if the 8 was down here, then it would be a 1-8 pair, and this would be a 4-5 pair. And that would be a 1-8 pair. But if the 8 was here, then this would be 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. This would be 31. These would be 27. Oh, okay. So, I mean, there is definitely going to be a 9 down here, isn't there? That's certainly true. Because, again, we've got this 27 total that we need to think about. So that might be useful. I mean, I don't like making a pencil mark across boxes, but I think perhaps needs must in this instance. So 9 is down there, along with 3 more digits that have to add up to 18. But do we have any clue what those digits are? I don't know. I really don't. Oh dear, this is tricky, isn't it? I think it's tricky anyway. These add up to 22, and one of them is a 2. So 3 of these add up to 20. That feels interesting as well. If there was no 9 down there, they would have to be 8, 7, 5, wouldn't they? Oh, can we do something clever like that? I don't. Have I not used a cage? That's the other thing that we might have to think about. Is which cages have we not actually? We don't know what's going on here. Although I seem to have every single option just about. Oh, that can't be a 3, I've just noticed. So that's something, perhaps. Sorry. If this is obvious, I apologise. I don't know. I don't even know really how to think about this properly. Is it that sort of foursome there, having to sum to 22? Is there some way I can use that? It's very close to being. It's very difficult for there not to be a 9 in there, because they would be. This would be a 1-4 pair. And this would be a 5, and this would be an 8. I don't know if that works. 28, if this is a 5, if this was 28, this had to add up to 17, didn't it? That doesn't work. But that's super complicated, but I'm going to use it, because it doesn't work. So what I'm saying is, that I worked out earlier that these added up to 22. But I know there's a 2 down here. So the other 3 digits down here add up to 20. Now if there was no 9 in them, they would have to be 875. And if they are 875, these 2 squares would be a 1-4 pair. This would be a 5, and this would be an 8. Now that doesn't work because if this is a 28 cage, this is a 17 by the secret, which means this domino adds to 12. It can't be 3-9, it can't be 5-7, it can't be 4-8. Yes, I know that's complicated, but I mean it could be required because it's quite beautiful as well. So what does that mean? That means there's a 9 down here. And the 9 is not there, which means that the 9 is in one of those 2 squares. So, has that done anything? I need 11 more down here, which is going to be, it's not 2-9, it's not 3-8, so it's either 4-7 or 5-6. Oh, please don't tell me that that's not done anything. Oh, goodness me. Didn't we work out that, yes, there always has to be a 9 in the yellow, because this has to add up to 27, so there's a 9 in this domino. That's not 9 anymore, so that's a little bit of Sudoku we get to do. So there's a 9 in one of these. This 9 must do something, surely. It's in the units position, so this is a 19 cage. It does add up to 19. That's so 8. Okay, so 8 is up here by Sudoku. Just using the power of this given digit. Although it's not very powerful, it's not really done anything. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, golly gosh. Right, okay. So, okay. Now what did I work this out? This was, I've got 2, I've got 9. I need 2 more digits. So it's either 4-7. That looks very likely, doesn't it? Or 5-6. It's going to take one of the 4 or the 5 out of there. So there's one of 4 or 5 in these 2 squares. But that's interesting, isn't it? Because didn't I work out that these quite often want to be a 4-5 pair? And now I'm going to claim they... Oh no, is that wrong? I must use 4 or 5 in here. But not both. So this 1 of 4 and 5 is available for here, which means 1 of 4 and 5 is available for here. But I thought when this was a 5, this had to be a 4. And when this was a 4, this had to be a 5. I'm going to check that logic. Because if that's right, then I'm saying this is 1-8, I think. And that feels like it would be quite a good deduction. That would give me another 8 up here. Right, let's check that. So, if this was 4, 24, this has to be 21, but this can't be 1 or 4, this would be 5. Can't be 4 because this would be an 8-9 pair and that would break. So, that's fine. But if this is 5, these add up to 20. So we can't put 1 here. If this is 5, this is 4. So this is, well, that's the same logic. So this is if this is 4 or 5, this is 4 or 5. And we've worked out that's or have we worked out that's impossible? I think we have worked out that's impossible because what? Or have we? Sorry, I'm being slow here, aren't I? Because I might be able to put one of them down here. So what I'm saying is, I know at least one. Yeah, I'm saying because I know at least one of these is 4 and 5. Because these can't be both 4. Because there's a 4 or a 5 here. a maximum of one of these is 4 or 5, which means one of these is 4 or 5. And once one of them is 4 or 5, doesn't the other one have to be? Or is that wrong? Because now I'm worried I could have an 8, for example. And then these, you see, I don't... If this is 8, this would need to be a 4 or a 5. But these would add up to 17. 17. But that, okay, we do know if this is 8, this can't be 5, because that's going to, this would have to add up to 12, and there's no legitimate option. So if this is 8, this could be 4, and would have to be 4. No, maybe it wouldn't. I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure. The logic I'm employing here is, I think that is right. If this is, I need one of 4 and 5 here, because I can't put them both here, because one of them is needed down here. So if this is 8, I need this to be 4 or 5, and it can't be 5, so it would be 4. So 8, 4. These are adding up to 17. So these would add up to 13, and they would have to be, but there's a 9 in them, and they couldn't. That couldn't work. It just doesn't work. I'm now more convinced than ever that I'm just going to go through it once more for the sake of my own peace of mind. But I don't think this can work. So because I need a 4-7 or a 5-6 down here, in this row is my claim. 4 or 5 is going to be displaced into one of these two squares. Now, I know that if this is 4 or 5, this is 4 or 5. That's definitely true. But if I'm saying, okay, this isn't 4 or 5 and this is 8, I'm actually now comfortable saying that this has no legitimate option. So maybe this was a way I could have attacked this before, is by just focusing on this digit only. But if this is 28 and this has to be 17 by the secret, I mean, I could make this, in theory, this could be a 179 triple to make 17, but the point is that that makes this a 4-5 pair, which doesn't work for this 22 cage, this virtual 22 cage down here, so that doesn't work. And that means this has to be 4 or 5 if this is 8, and neither work. 5 doesn't work because this doesn't have a valid 12 option, and 13, if this is 4, this has to be 13, but it includes a 9, so it would be a 4-9, and we get 2 4s. So all of that is a very, I suspect there's a better way of doing it, but this is never 8, which means this is 4 or 5, which means this is never 1. This is a 4-5 pair. This is a 1-8 pair. And don't tell me this is not doing anything. I've now got a horrible feeling this is not doing anything, you know. Oh no. Okay, because I didn't get rid of any of the options here. 5 is in one of those squares by Sudoku because of this 4-5 thing. But we've already learned, haven't we? Ah, yeah, no, let's come back down here, because we know that these added up to 18, but we know there's a 6 and a 3 in them. And we now know that we can't use 2-7, 3-6 or 4-5. So these squares are now 3-6-1-8. Good grief. This is quite, I mean, it's very interesting. It's not that easy. And that's great. Now, what are these squares then? They are 9 and 7, I think. Which is surprising, but fine. So now there is a 7 here by Sudoku, which means there's a 7 in one of those squares by Sudoku. There's an 8 in one of those squares by Sudoku, I've just noticed. We know that this foursome sums to 27, don't we? And we've got 16 of it. So these add up to 11 without using 3-8 2, 9 or 4, 7. So this is 5, 6, and that would have to be the 5, and that would have to be the 6, which means that's a 6 by Sudoku. This is not a 3 by Sudoku. I've got a 1, 3, 4, 8 quadruple in the bottom row. So the digits I've not placed are 2, 7 and 9, and they must live in these squares, and that's not 9. If there's a 5 in this cage, that's a 4, look. So that's a 5. It's not going to matter. It means that's not 5, I suppose. But obviously units, digits are the least important things in our in the structure of the world nowadays. Okay. That 4 is giving me a 6 there, actually. Oh, it still doesn't do anything. Of course it doesn't do anything. Why did you expect it to do anything, Simon? So this column needs 1, 2, 3, 5. Where's 1 in this column? That's a legitimate question. It has to go there. That seems to suggest this is a 2, which gives me a 3, 5 pair at the top of the grid, which gives me a 4, 8 pair here, which, oh no, okay, this isn't 1 anymore. Okay, there's something going on now, I'm sure. We can do, all we've got to do is just figure out this box. We've got 3, 4, 5 and 9 to place. 3, 4, 5, 9. But we can get rid of 4 and 5 from this square. This is 3 or 9 in the middle digit. Sorry, brief interruption there. I had a call from Mark. I thought I'd actually better take that one, it wasn't that important, but I've got distracted. So let's go back. And what were we doing? We were thinking about the middle digit in the puzzle and saying that was 3 or 9. I hate it when I get interrupted because I always feel like I need to sort of just carry on the moment the phone call finishes, and I probably do better to just sit there for a while and try and resurrect what thoughts were going through my head. I don't see what's no. I really don't see what that means at all. Okay, let's try something else then. I've got a 6 there. I can get rid of 6 here. So this is 4 or 8. I'm so sorry. I haven't got any clue. Oh, I've got a 2 there. Okay, so all right. So that makes me feel better. Okay, so at least I wasn't. It wasn't like this was a real impasse in the puzzle. There was just easy Sudoku to do. Although that's not really done very much. 4, 5, 6, 9 into these squares. Right, that digit can't be a 6, I'm now noticing. So I think this is a 4 or a 9. Which actually doesn't do very much, peculiarly. What about 3, 7, 8, 9? That one is just 7, 8 or 9. It's going to be this cage, isn't it? That's probably where we're meant to look. I mean, have I done everything else? Possibly. So, right, what can we say about this cage? Well, okay, I've got one deduction. It is not a 45 cage anymore. Because to be a 45 cage, given it must be rectangular, it would have to be like this one. And this would be a 4, 5, and both of those digits would be a 3 by Sudoku, so it's not a 45 cage. In fact, the other reason it's not a 45 cage is there is a 5 looking at its units digit, which I hadn't noticed. So this comes down. So the real pressure is going to be, if this is 4, it could be a 42 cage, which would have to be an 8-cell cage, wouldn't it? It would have to be that. So if this was 42, this would be 3, this would be 5. I don't know, that looks I quite like the look of that actually. So adding those onto it, I can't see an immediate repeated digit that would result from that. If this is 2, this would be a 24 cage. If it's 1, that looks difficult. If this is 1, then we need... Well, the point is we can't extend the cage there then. Because remember, once this is 1, we need the digits that are not the units digit and are not the 1 to add up to 9. So we couldn't use 8 because we'd need a second 1 in the cage. So this would have to be the cage. And these 2 digits would have to add up. But that doesn't work. These 2 digits would have to add up to 9. But given the options for this square, this would have no possible option. So there is a tiny deduction, a win for the good guys. That's not 1. And that means 1 in the row is here. Which means that's 1 and that's 8 and that's 4. So that's 4 and that's 8 and that's 4. I've got a 1-8 pair now in row 8. Actually, I've got... Oh, I've always had this. I've got a 1-8 pair. Let's see if we can do anything with the 1-8 pair. We need 4, 7 and 9 into these squares. Okay. 4, 7 and 9. There's definitely a 4 over here, which is definitely there actually. That's forced by Sudoku of all things. So right, okay, well that puts pay to my idea that this was an 8-cell cage. So this is either now a 30-something cage or a 24 cage. One of those things is true. Now, how are we going to work out? Well, where's 5 in the row? 5's there. So this isn't 5. I've now got a 4-9 pair in row 6. Okay, so Sudoku is being remarkably friendly for once. This is a 5-6 pair, which apparently doesn't get resolved. Let's tidy up the pencil markings. I'm sure it's, well, I'm pretty sure it's Sudoku at this point. 2, 4, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, yes. Okay, let's look at this column. I think in column 3, I have not placed 2, 4, 7, 8, and 9. And that digit is a naked single 8. Which... Okay, does that put pressure on this digit as well then? So this is 2, 4, 7 or 9. So it is 2 or 7 by Sudoku. That's unbelievable. It doesn't resolve. Okay, so in this row we need 2, 3, 5 and 7. Oh, it still doesn't resolve. What's going on? 3, 5, 6 into these squares. No, that doesn't resolve. Okay, so so this cage needs more work, unfortunately. So, how do we do this then? If it is... Well, we have to decide how it's going to grow, don't we? If it's a 24 cage, can it grow like that? The answer is possibly not, actually. Okay, so what I'm saying is if that's 24, then I think, well, if I extend the cage like that anyway, which is one possibility, then the other digits in the cage need to add to 18. And that doesn't seem very possible, because these would have to add up to 10, and this would be a 2, which would put far too many 2s in the row, in the cage, everything would break. So that doesn't work. So if this is a 2 is what we're investigating, we definitely don't take this square. We obviously can't have a 4-cell cage adding to 24. So we're going to have to go downwards. We can't just have a domino, so we actually have to have that shape. And that means these 4 digits have to sum up to 18. Now, how likely is that to work? I am going to suggest, I'm going to suggest not very, because I know one of these is a 9, which means the other 3 digits have to add up to 9 only, and they can't, because even if I pick this one to be the 9, and that allows me access to a 4 here, I'm adding at least 5 to it. 4 plus 5 plus 0 would work, but 4 plus 5 plus anything positive, which is what it's going to be in row 5, column 2, doesn't work. And if I make this the 9, then this is a 7, and these would have to add up to 2, which is nonsense. So that, right, okay. So this cage is not... It's not 2 here, it's 3 here, which is it's going to mean there's, well, although no, actually, I was going to say it's going to mean there's loads more options for it, but the fact I've got a 4 here actually might help me. That's 8 now. 8, 1, 1, 3. 4, 9, 3. Yeah, here we go. 4, 7, 9. So this is a 7, 8 pair. Okay, this has been very powerful. Possibly. We probably still have to work out what this does. Can it just take those? Is that likely? Then we need 27 down here, and we've got 13. So we need 14 here. 8, 6 would work. So that looks quite good, that shape. The other option, though, is that shape. That's going to put, that doesn't add up to 27. Those digits would be a 7, 8, 9, triple and a 1. And we can't have any other more exotic shape because it would be too large. So it's those that we need. And this is 14, which is an 8, 6. It's beautiful, isn't it? 8, 6, 5, 7. So that's 6. This is 5, this is 5, this is 3. Right, what have we got in the top of the grid? We've got a 2 and a something. 2 and a 3. 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight. Losing its religion. That's 7, that's 7, that's 9, that's 9, that's 2. Good grief, what a puzzle that is. Yes. Wow. I mean, that's sensationally good, Michael. Sensationally good. I absolutely loved it. I loved the beginning. I loved the fact I could work out that was a quadruple. I loved the fact I could then work out that this was the 45, well, a 4, but then a 45 cage. That was beautiful. And there were loads of clever, there was quite a lot of Sudoku, quite a lot of maths. It's sort of, you know, I love puzzles with that combination. Just a little bit of maths trickery to go along with your Sudoku caviar. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.